Discover how a wrong invitation led to an incredible billionaire wedding her life changed forever. In the heart of Crestwood, life zipped by like the neon lights flickering in Sarah's beloved diner. A cozy haunt for the locals, it was a refuge amidst the mundane grind of suburban life. At 25, Sarah was the epitome of the American dreamer, balancing late-night shifts while supporting her single mother. Days rolled into nights as she served coffee and flipped pancakes, her laughter a bright melody against the clattering of dishes. But behind her persistent smile lay a weight heavy with financial struggles that often threatened to eclipse her aspirations. One bustling afternoon, as the aroma of burgers wafted through the air, Sarah found herself sorting through an unexpected pile of mail that had arrived for her manager. Nestled between the greasy receipts and takeout menus was a beautifully embossed wedding invitation. Its golden letters danced in the light, announcing the lavish nuptials of a billionaire. Her heart stumbled. How can a life of glitz and glamour be real? She wondered. What if she stepped into that world, even if for one evening? Hope flickered inside her. A dream, tantalizing yet distant, floated before her eyes. As she sat in the diner's back booth after her shift, the invitation burned in her pocket. Her mother always said, "We just need to stay grounded." But could that one night unravel the knots of their struggles? Torn between loyalty and longing, Sarah pushed thoughts around like the worn-out dishes she scrubbed daily. Tension crackled like static in the air when she shared her desire with her mother. "Sarah, you have responsibilities. It's just a fantasy." Her mother's frown echoed the weight of years filled with sacrifice. But Sarah felt a magnet pull her to the wedding. What could be so wrong with chasing a fleeting dream? With a determined heart, she chose to slip away for just one night, a temporary escape from her reality. Under the shimmering chandeliers of the grand hall, Sarah felt she stepped into a different universe. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter and joy. Every table bore extravagant floral arrangements, glittering like starlight. That's when she met Tyler, the groom's best friend. With a genuine smile and grounded spirit, he was everything she didn't expect in a billionaire's world. Their connection was electric, as if the weight of their worlds lifted for a moment. Suddenly, Crestwood was left reeling from a crisis. The local factory had shut its doors, leaving families trembling in uncertainty. The news hit Sarah hard. How could she forget her roots when they needed her now? Facing a choice that felt monumental, she shared her heartache with Tyler. Together, they forged a plan, blending their worlds in efforts to rally support for their devastated community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as they spread the word, cracks in their relationship began to surface. The burden of societal expectations and prejudices threatened to pull them apart. The dual pressures of her burgeoning feelings for Tyler and her unyielding love for Crestwood loomed over Sarah like a storm cloud. Just as she began to breathe the air of resolve, a shocking revelation was poised to shatter everything she thought she knew: love, identity, and the weight of responsibility, leaving her standing on the edge of an emotional cliff. Would she grasp the glimmer of hope for herself and her community, or would she slip back into the shadows of doubt? As the tension escalated, Sarah felt the ground quake. Beneath her, an uncertainty curled around her heart. As Sarah stood at the crossroads of her heart, a sudden blaring horn jolted her back to the present. The swirling silence that enveloped her shattered with the noise outside, a reminder of the world she'd left back in Crestwood. She had to make a choice that felt impossibly weighty. Tyler, her voice wavered as she turned to him, seeking comfort in his calm demeanor. What if I can't do both? I mean, my family needs me, but you, and this place. She swallowed hard, her heart hammering against her ribs. It's like learning to breathe again. He reached for her hand, his grip firm but gentle. I believe we can. Together. His eyes glimmered with a promise that lit a fire in her chest. She wanted to believe him, yet doubt gnawed at her. It was easy to dream within the warmth of this extravagant bubble, but reality was waiting back home with its unyielding questions. The tension hung thick between them. Sarah's mind raced over the options, each one trickling through her fingers like sand. It was an agonizing cocktail of hope and fear, twirling and mixing until she felt dizzy. Could she really bridge the gap between this world of wealth and her hometown struggles? "I know it's all new for you," Tyler said, breaking through her spiraling thoughts. "But maybe what we can do starts right here. We can host a fundraiser. Use my connections to invite people, show them Crestwood deserves support." Excitement danced in his voice, but beneath it lay the weight of reality. Sarah hesitated. "And what happens if it doesn't work? What if I let everyone down all over again?" The vulnerability in her voice cut deeper than any knife, and she hated how she felt exposed. "Hey," he said softly, lifting her chin with his finger. "Whatever happens, you won't be alone. That's how we truly change things. It takes courage, but I see that in you. You stood here tonight, remember? You fought to be here." His words pierced her heart. They shimmered with understanding, lighting up the corners of her doubts. Yet, lurking beneath the surface, a swirling thorn of fear fought to root itself deep within her. What if stepping into this world meant losing sight of herself, of her responsibilities? Before she could reply, the heavy hall door swung open, and in walked a group of elegantly dressed guests overflowing with laughter. Their carefree energy washed over Sarah, igniting a protective instinct. She couldn't let the divide between wealth and struggle widen. Crestwood's heart still beat within her, and no one could take that away. "Maybe you're right," she finally murmured, her eyes locking with Tyler's. "I just need to find a way to connect them both." Just then, a woman in a flowing gold gown turned toward her. "Oh, you must be the lovely girl who made such an impression on Tyler tonight. We're just about to discuss the plans for the wedding. Would you like to join us?" Her smile was charming, but laced with a hint of suspicion. Sarah froze, her insecurities crawling back. She exchanged a quick glance with Tyler, searching for reassurance. Did she belong here with these people who seemed to glide through life with grace? "Absolutely," Tyler spoke before she could reply, confidence radiating from him. As they approached the group, Sarah's heart raced. Their words swarmed around her: caviar, centerpieces, and designer gowns. She felt like an intruder in a grand play. Her chest tightened, but with each step, she felt Tyler's supportive presence, anchoring her in this whirlwind of new beginnings. What if this was the moment she embraced not just a new world, but a whole new version of herself? A version that took her steps toward healing both her heart and her community. In that instant, the woman suddenly turned serious. "But we are trying to decide on the charity of choice for our event. What do you think should be our focus?" With the weight of newfound resolve, Sarah opened her mouth to respond, her heart pounding as a thought crystallized. Here was her chance. But just as the words were about to form, a reminder from Crestwood's plight intruded like a dark cloud. Was she ready to step fully into this world while keeping her roots intact? Would she find the courage to be a voice for her community, or would she lose herself in the glittering web of opulence? The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation. Sarah felt the collective gaze of those around her. It was overwhelming, as if the weight of their expectations rested solely on her shoulders. She took a deep breath and steadied her voice, aware that this was a pivotal moment. "I think," she began, glancing nervously at Tyler. "I think honoring local charities that focus on education and health in Crestwood would have the biggest impact." The words flowed out, her heart racing as she spoke. "People are struggling there, and if we can raise awareness and funds to help them, we can really make a difference." The room fell silent, the laughter from moments ago hanging in the air like a fading echo. Then, slowly, one by one, the guests began to nod, murmurs of agreement rippling through the group. Sarah's heart soared. Tyler's encouraging smile spurred her confidence, but a newfound rhythm surged in her chest too. This was her voice, rising to meet the challenge. "That's a refreshing perspective," the woman in gold said, her tone shifting to one of genuine interest. Perhaps we could pair this with the wedding theme. A Heart of Crestwood initiative. Yes. Tyler replied enthusiastically. Let us not only celebrate love but give back. A portion of the proceeds from the wedding could go to the charity. The conversation flowed quickly now, each person chiming in, brainstorming ideas with an energy that made Sarah's heart race. She found herself swept up in it, the initial anxiety replaced by an electrifying sense of hope. For the first time that evening, she felt she belonged not just as Tyler's guest, but as an active participant in something greater than herself. Sarah glanced out across the crowd, watching as bustling discussion ensued. It wasn't just a wedding plan, it felt like a collective mission. She envisioned the faces of her friends back in Crestwood, the children at the community center, and the parents who struggled every day. This was more than just an event to celebrate a marriage, it was a lifeline for her town. Sarah, Tyler's voice pulled her from her thoughts. You're a natural leader. What you suggested is brilliant. I can already see the pieces coming together. Let us chat with some of the vendors next. As they headed towards the group of caterers, Sarah felt a flicker of doubt creep in. What if she faltered? What if the event spiraled beyond her control? But the memory of her struggles, the nights spent worrying about her family, propelled her forward. She had come this far, she couldn't back down now. Tyler sensed her hesitation. Hey, he said quietly, catching her gaze. You're strong. And you have an important message to share. Trust yourself. His words ignited a fire within her. I will, she murmured with a small smile, stealing strength from his unwavering support. As they approached the vendor table, laughter erupted again, filling the air with warmth. Sarah listened intently, exchanging ideas and making connections, feeling lighter with each passing moment. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once, like standing on the edge of a great adventure. But just as she began to feel fully immersed in this new reality, a sudden commotion caught her attention at the entrance. A tall, imposing figure walked in, a man with an air of authority that caused the room to fall silent again. Sorry I'm late, he boomed, surveying the room with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. I had a meeting that ran long. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Who was he? And why did she have a sinking feeling that his presence would change everything? This was just the beginning, but already she could sense the ripple of change that was coming her way. Was this mystery man connected to the wedding or perhaps to something larger waiting to unfold? The air in the room crackled with tension, and Sarah felt her heart race as the unfamiliar uncertainty crept in. What had she really stepped into? Was this a turning point, or a step into a whirlwind she'd never expect? The man took a few steps inside, his presence dominating the space like a thunderstorm rolling in over a quiet landscape. Guests shifted nervously, their previous buoyant energy replaced by a charged stillness. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this man held a secret that could unravel everything she had started to build for Crestwood. Clark Winters, he introduced himself, his deep voice reverberating through the hushed room. He looked around, assessing the crowd with a keen eye. I'll be working with your event planners on logistics. Tyler turned to Sarah, his expression unreadable. He's the best in the business, he whispered, but Sarah couldn't hear his words over the pounding of her heart. Clark's gaze landed on her, piercing directly into her. It was unsettling, as if he knew who she was and what she had proposed. It felt like standing under a spotlight on a stage where she never meant to perform. And you must be the one behind the Heart of Crestwood idea, he said, a curious smirk lighting up his face as if he found her initiative both amusing and naive. Yes, Sarah managed to say, her voice small. I believe it can make a real difference. Clark raised an eyebrow, and Sarah could see him measuring her words. Fundraising at a wedding, interesting choice. But are you truly ready to tackle the challenges that come with it? People don't take kindly to mixed messages in celebrations. A wave of frustration washed over her. Who was he to judge her plan? People need this support, she insisted, her voice stronger now. If we can bring awareness, then we can inspire change in Crestwood. Clark's smirk faded, replaced by a contemplative gaze. Passion is important, he conceded, but it's also risky. You might find some people don't like to mix business with pleasure. It could backfire. Sarah felt a fire deep within her. This event was not just a whimsical idea, it was her chance to give back to her community, and she wasn't going to let anyone undermine that. But what's the point of a celebration if it doesn't uplift those around us? She pressed, refusing to back down. The tension between them thickened, and she was acutely aware of the eyes upon them, waiting. Finally, Clark let out a low chuckle. You're tenacious, I'll give you that. Just be prepared, things have a way of getting complicated. With a curt nod, he turned away, merging back into the crowd, leaving Sarah grappling with his words. She could feel Tyler's reassuring presence beside her, grounding her amidst the uncertainty. You did great, he said quietly, a proud smile breaking through the tension. But Sarah couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that Clark's words had unleashed. She knew the stakes of what she was trying to create were high, but did that mean she was out of her league? Clenching her fists, she vowed not to let doubt seep in. As they resumed their discussions with the vendors, she kept glancing toward Clark, who moved fluidly through the crowd, speaking with authority and ease. Was his experience a blessing or a curse for the vision she had for Crestwood? Just then, Tyler leaned in closer. I know you can make this work. Trust your instincts, Sarah. But even as she nodded, a gnawing feeling settled in her chest. She could feel it, this was so much bigger than she had anticipated. What if she was not just fighting for Crestwood, but against forces that would do anything to keep things just as they were? That night after the discussions wrapped up, Sarah found herself unable to sleep. The weight of the uncertainty and the imposing figure of Clark lingered like shadows in her mind. She was determined to push ahead, but what if this was only the beginning of difficulties that lay ahead? She stared at her phone, a tight knot forming in her stomach as she considered calling Tyler. Was he aware of how deep they were plunging into uncharted waters? But before she could hit call, a sudden message popped up, a message from a number she didn't recognize. We need to talk about the Heart of Crestwood initiative. Meet me tomorrow at the cafe. It's important. Her breath hitched. Who could this be? Was it a supporter? Or a warning? As she stared at the screen, the possibilities swirled in her mind. Each second that passed only intensified the urgency. Was she ready for whatever was about to come? With her heart pounding, she knew tomorrow could change everything. What had she truly signed up for? The cafe was a cozy little spot on the corner of Maple and Pine, where the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the warm sweetness of pastries. As Sarah stepped through the door, a bell chimed softly, almost as if announcing her arrival to a room full of potential. She scanned the crowd, heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Who would be waiting for her? Was it a potential investor, someone aligned with her vision? Or simply a critic eager to undermine her? A booth in the corner caught her eye. There, seated with an easy confidence, was a woman in her late 20s with an air of sophistication and charm that made her stand out. Her dark curls framed a warm face, and as she looked up, her inviting smile made Sarah feel an immediate connection. Sarah, she called, waving her over. I'm Elena. Thank you for meeting me. Sarah slid into the seat across from her, trying to compose herself. I'm not sure who reached out. Your message was vague. Elena leaned in slightly, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. I know it sounds mysterious, but I come with good news about your initiative. Good news? Sarah's curiosity ignited. What do you know about the Heart of Crestwood? I've been keeping an eye on it, Elena said, taking a sip of her coffee. I believe in what you're trying to do. Fundraising at a wedding is a brilliant blend of romance and purpose. Tension began to lift from Sarah's shoulders. Really? You think so? Absolutely. But, Elena paused, her expression shifting to seriousness. There are forces at play that might challenge your plans. Sarah leaned forward, her stomach tightening at the implication. What do you mean? There are people who won't want your event to succeed. You know how it is, change can scare those with the most to lose. Elena's gaze was piercing. Your nerve has already unsettled someone powerful. The words hit Sarah like a wave of ice. Is it Clark? Clark Winters? You've met him, then. Elena's eyes narrowed slightly. He's well-connected, plays nice with the elite of Crestwood. But he's known for sabotaging projects that threaten his interests. Sarah's thoughts raced. The discussion with Clark the other evening echoed in her mind. Could he truly have the power to dismantle her vision? But if something happens to my event, Sarah said, her voice barely more than a whisper, then what about the community? The people we're trying to help? Elena reached across the table, her hand warm and steady. You have to be prepared to fight for it. I'm here to help you. We can strategize, find allies. Hope flickered in Sarah's heart, battling against her fear. But how do I get past someone like Clark? Elena smiled, an unfaltering glint in her eyes that promised solidarity. We need to gather support. If we can rally enough people who believe in your cause, then we can counter any negative pushback. We can make this happen. For the first time since this journey began, the weight on Sarah's chest began to lift. She looked into Elena's earnest eyes, knowing she wasn't alone anymore. But there was still so much to do, and time was running short. What's our first step? Sarah asked, determination returning. Elena grinned. Let us identify your champions. We'll need to leverage social media, local influencers, anyone who believes in the community. As they plotted out plans, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that in the fray of newfound hope, they might be walking into a tempest. Clark wouldn't let this lie easily, and somewhere, she could sense his vigilance. Later, leaving the cafe, Sarah's mind spun with possibilities, but one thought echoed louder than the rest: could they really conquer the obstacles they were about to face? Unknown to her, vigilant eyes were already watching from a distance. What was Clark's next move? As her phone buzzed again, this time an unsaved number flashed on the screen, leaving Sarah utterly breathless. What kind of challenge awaited her this time? Taking a breath, Sarah hesitated before answering. Every tick of the second hand felt magnified, echoing the tension in her chest. She swiped the screen and pressed the phone to her ear, her heart racing with curiosity and dread. Hello? Her voice was steady, but the uncertainty lurked just beneath the surface. Sarah, it's Clark, came the smooth, confident reply, his familiarity both soothing and infuriating. Clark. I didn't expect to hear from you. Sarah's fingers clenched around her phone, determination battling against the unease that washed over her. I know we didn't leave things on the best note, he said, feigning warmth. But I was thinking maybe we could have a friendly chat about the Heart of Crestwood initiative. Friendly? She caught herself rolling her eyes, even though he couldn't see her. You've made your stance clear. Why would I want to talk? You misunderstand, he replied, each word draped in practiced ease. I'm actually interested in helping. There's a lot at stake here. We wouldn't want misunderstandings to escalate. The words tasted bitter in her mouth, his offer felt like a slippery slope. Sarah wouldn't forget the way he dismissed her ideas before. What do you really want, Clark? Let's just say I have connections that could be beneficial for your event, he replied, the edge of his voice sharpening. And I have no interest in watching your project hurt Crestwood's reputation. A shiver danced along her spine. This could be a trap, but if there was a glimmer of truth in what he said, okay, I'm listening. But I want to meet on my terms. Of course. She could almost hear him smile. How about tomorrow at the venue? Noon. Just you and me to discuss this like rational adults. The thought sent her mind racing. Meeting him alone could be dangerous, but it also could provide insight. The stakes were high. Fine. But I'm bringing someone with me. Your call, he said, and she could hear the satisfaction in his voice. The line went dead, and she stared at the phone, the silence wrapping around her like a heavy blanket. She took a moment to collect herself before heading to her car, her mind buzzing. This was a gamble, and though an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of her stomach, she couldn't shake the possibility that Clark might have more to lose than she realized. Once seated inside her car, she recalled Elena's reassurances. They were determined to shine a light on her cause, to gather allies. But would this meeting with Clark only set them back? The next morning felt like stepping onto a battlefield. Sarah arrived early, the venue bustling with staff setting the stage. The sun filtered through the windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. This was her dream place, turning into a reality. Moments later, Clark arrived, looking effortlessly polished in his tailored suit, a smirk playing on his lips. He gave her a nod and stepped closer, his presence feeling both invasive and magnetic. "Nice place you've picked out," he said, glancing around. "Let us get started." As they walked through the venue, tension crackled between them. With each step, Sarah's resolve strengthened. She would push for transparency. She was done backing down. "Tell me what you really want, Clark," she said, her voice firm, the authority behind it surprising even herself. He paused, mirroring her seriousness. "All right, let us drop the masks. I want to make sure this event benefits more than just your cause." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Let us just say, there are opportunities for collaboration that you might not have considered." His tone shifted, a touch of vulnerability creeping in. But was this yet another game? Collaboration how? Clark leaned against a wall, arms crossed, eyeing her. "We can use this event to create a wave of support that can benefit us both. But you have to trust me." Was this a chance she could take? Sarah weighed her options, knowing any misstep could spiral out of control. "Trust can be a dangerous thing, Clark." "Then let us negotiate," he replied, his gaze unyielding. As the first rays of hope edged into their conversation, Sarah felt the weight of the moment settle over her. She had to decide whether to lean into this unexpected alliance or push him away entirely. Then she noticed a shadow shifting outside the venue, a familiar figure standing just out of sight. Who was watching? And why did it feel like everything was about to change? A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she shifted her gaze to the window, straining to see who lurked just outside. The figure was partially obscured by a thick curtain of light filtering through the glass. It felt menacing, as if the very air around her had taken on a weight she couldn't shake. Were Elena and the team inside the venue even aware that someone was watching? "Everything okay?" Clark's voice broke her focus, snapping her back into the room. His brow furrowed slightly, an expression that was half concern, half curiosity. Yeah," she stammered, forcing herself to appear relaxed. "Just a bit of distraction." He followed her gaze but found nothing in the sunlight-drenched courtyard. "Are you sure you want to continue this? I mean, I can sense you're a bit on edge. Maybe we should postpone?" The last thing she wanted was for Clark to see her falter. "No, let us keep going. I need to understand your angle in all of this." Spoken like a true leader, he said, feigning admiration. "All right, let us talk about the collaboration I mentioned." As he spoke, Sarah struggled to concentrate on his words. The shadow outside had slipped away. Was it just her imagination, or was someone indeed here to disrupt her meeting? The knot in her stomach tightened as she pulled her focus back. "Listen," she interjected, cutting him off mid-sentence, "let us make this clear. I want to ensure this event is about the heart of Crestwood. Not your agenda." Clark leaned closer, his face serious now. "You need to recognize that both our goals can align. People will come for your cause, and I can help with that. In return, there's funding I can secure that might bolster your efforts even further." Funding. The word lingered in the air like a promise rich and tempting. But at what cost? "And what do you get in return, Clark?" she asked sharply. "I get a solid reputation." "Helping you means staying relevant in a community that's growing tired of the same old faces," he revealed, his eyes locking onto hers, a faint glimmer of sincerity flickering behind the mask. "Besides, I genuinely believe in what you're trying to achieve." The tension between them was palpable, but something about his expression made her pause. Could this be the turning point she needed? Was he being honest for once? All right, she said slowly, choosing her words carefully. Let us say I'm willing to trust you for now. What do you propose we do next? Before Clark could respond, a loud bang erupted from outside, drawing their attention instantly. Startled, Sarah dashed toward the window, pressing her forehead against the glass to get a better look. A crowd was gathering, expressions of horror rippling through the assembled faces. There was yelling, confusion, and in the center of it all, a figure fell to the ground. Panic washed over her as instinct kicked in. We need to see what's happening, she declared, her heart racing. Stay here, Clark insisted, grabbing her arm as she turned to leave. But something inside Sarah burned fiercely. The stakes had shifted. No. We're going together, she insisted, shaking off his grip. As they rushed outside, Sarah's eyes widened with dread at the sight unfolding. Was this all part of some twisted plan? The atmosphere thickened, charged with a sense of impending doom. She had fought too hard to let this slip away, and she wasn't going to stand by. Then, through the chaos, a figure emerged from the crowd, and her breath caught in her throat. Who was it? Would this person be a friend or foe? Would her meeting with Clark unravel into something she couldn't control? The questions swirled as dread and uncertainty spiraled to a climax. The event would shape the very future of Crestwood, but not without stakes that could cost them all. Sarah pushed through the throng, her heart pounding like a drum. The crowd surged with gasps and whispers, faces contorted with worry and confusion. She spotted the figure standing in the center, struggling to rise just as another shout echoed through the courtyard. Back away. A voice rang out, and Sarah's veins chilled. Clark was right beside her, his face drawn tight, eyes darting between the chaos and her. We need to call for help, he urged, but Sarah barely heard him. The moment hung heavy, and panic coiled in her gut. Wait! She shouted, spotting a flash of familiar hair. The figure was Elena. Elena stumbled, clutching her side, but her eyes were fierce. Sarah! Get out of the way! She cried, warning the nearby onlookers. Is it you? Are you hurt? Sarah dashed forward. Clark hesitated but soon followed, caught in the frantic energy of the moment. Elena managed to prop herself up, breathing heavily. I'm fine, but we need to figure out who's behind this. There was a bomb, a threat. The gravity of her words sank in, and the crowd reacted, some backing away while others edged closer, driven by morbid curiosity. Sarah's mind raced. Were they really in danger? Who had directed this chaos at them? Who did this? Clark asked, his voice sharp. I don't know, Elena gasped. I just felt the pressure wave. It came from over there. She pointed with trembling fingers towards the edge of the courtyard, where the shadows of the trees swayed ominously under the afternoon sun. A deep sense of dread consumed Sarah. What do we do? She murmured, trying to reconcile her instincts with the mounting chaos. We need to alert the authorities and get everyone inside, Clark said, his voice growing more authoritative. But before he could make a reach for his phone, the sound of sirens pierced the air. Help was on its way. Not just that, Sarah said. We need to control the narrative, to reassure everyone. We can't have panic rule the day. Are you suggesting? Clark began, eyebrows knitting together, but Sarah cut him off. Listen. If we want to ensure the heart of Crestwood is successful, we can't let this overshadow the purpose. Elena looked at her, eyes wide. But you can't make peace without understanding the danger. Then let us take control right now. Sarah insisted, adrenaline fueling her decision. We need to get to that stage and speak to them. Clark nodded slowly, as if realizing she was right. You're going to rally this crowd? Absolutely, Sarah replied, her voice stealing. She began making her way towards the stage at the far side of the courtyard, breath catching at the tension crackling around them. Elena followed closely, her pain evident but her resolve stronger than ever. Clark trailed, organizing the small cadre of volunteers who rushed out to assist the wounded. Climbing the steps onto the stage, Sarah glanced at the wide sea of faces turned in her direction, heartbeats sinking to the raw emotion of the moment. "Everyone," she called, her voice steadying despite the turmoil. "I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But what we've built together here is stronger than any threat. We owe it to ourselves to stand united." The collective murmurs simmered down, listening, some intrigued, others gripped by dread. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she spotted another figure, lurking on the edge of the crowd. A shadow slipped away from the scene, purpose etched on their face. Her heart raced. Who were they? She's right. A voice shouted from the back, injecting energy into the assembly. Let us show them we're stronger. But Sarah's focus fixated on that shadow. She had to know if this was part of the scheme. A chill wound through her, entwining the hope of unity with the fear of betrayal. Clark. I need you to gather intel, she shouted, not willing to back down. But as the crowd rallied around her, was she truly prepared to face whatever lay beneath the surface of this escalating event? The future of Crestwood hung in the balance, and the revelation of the figure from the crowd might change everything. Who were they, and what did they want? Sarah's heart thumped louder than the ambience of fear swirling in the courtyard. The faces around her carried a blend of anxiety and curiosity, and she struggled to maintain her own composure. She took a deep breath, letting the words settle as confidence swelled within her. Together, we are unstoppable, she declared, raising her voice to cut through any lingering doubt. The crowd responded with a wave of murmurs, then silence, leaning in closer. Elena adjusted her stance beside Sarah, a fierce determination replacing the fear in her eyes. We can't ignore the threat. We need to stay vigilant, she said, her breathing still labored but her spirit strong. Clark, having returned from rallying the volunteers, joined them. We'll organize teams to patrol the area, he said, a plan already forming in his mind. We can clear out non-essential people, keep everyone safe until we figure this out. But Sarah was torn. She felt an unshakable pull toward that shadow. There was something unsettling about it, a whisper of danger that made her emotions clash, the desire for unity against a potential threat. Listen, she said, urgency shaping her tone. We can speak to the crowd, but what if one of us, she gestured toward the disappearing figure, is working against us? We've got to be smart about this. How do we handle the unknown and keep everyone calm? Elena asked, her voice tight with concern. We can divide and conquer, Sarah suggested, her mind racing. Clark, keep an eye on the crowd. If the shadow reappears, follow them whoever they are. Elena, can you gather our volunteers to secure the perimeter? I'll keep talking here, maintain the peace, while we figure this out. It won't work, Elena countered, shaking her head. You can't do this alone. I have to try, Sarah replied. She could feel the weight of the crowd's expectation on her shoulders, a duty she was now determined to uphold. With a final nod to Clark and Elena, Sarah turned back to the sea of faces, conjuring every ounce of strength she had. We need to ensure everyone is protected, she reminded the crowd, fighting back the growing pit of anxiety in her stomach. I promise, we will get to the bottom of this. Suddenly, a collective gasp rippled through the assembly, and once again, Sarah's attention shifted. Someone had emerged from within a cluster of trees, moving towards them, the same shadow she had seen earlier. The sunlight glinted off something metallic in their hand. Is that? Clark started, but the words caught in his throat as the figure stepped fully into the light. Sarah's heart dropped. Stop, she shouted, adrenaline shooting through her. Who are you? What do you want? The figure paused, their eyes scanning the crowd and landing on Sarah. A smirk played on their lips, a haunting mix of familiarity and dread washing over her. Let us just say, they began, their voice smooth and sinister, the heart of Crestwood is about to experience a transformation you never saw coming. Gasps echoed, and fear swept through the crowd again. Whispers turned into chaos. Sarah felt her breath quicken. What transformation were they talking about? What did they want? With the unknown now standing before her, Sarah had to decide whether to confront this figure or evacuate the crowd for safety. The stakes were sky high, and as she weighed her options, the air thickened with uncertainty and fast-flooding realization. Was this the moment that would change everything for Crestwood, or just the beginning of something even darker? Before she could act, the figure stepped closer, their intentions unreadable. The crowd faltered, caught between fear and curiosity. What does this mean? Sarah whispered to herself, struggling to maintain control. She had to make a choice, and soon before it was too late. In the tumultuous heart of the courtyard, chaos swirled like the autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Sarah's pulse raced, a frantic drum echoing the uncertainty of her surroundings. The figure standing before her, looming with an insidious calm, seemed to absorb the terror that had swept through the crowd. "Who are you?" she demanded again, her voice steady despite the panic flickering in her chest. "Just a friend with an interest in how things unfold," the figure replied, eyes narrowing as they surveyed the sea of anxious faces. "And a reminder that not everyone plays fair in this game." "Enough games." Sarah's voice rang out, stronger than she'd expected. "What do you really want?" The figure chuckled, a cold, dispassionate sound that seemed to freeze the air around them. "Your little initiative, the heart of Crestwood, if I recall." How quaint. But nothing great comes without sacrifice, and unfortunately, sometimes, that sacrifice is personal. A chill crept into Sarah's spine. "What are you threatening?" "Ask yourself who really controls the narrative in Crestwood," they taunted. "Some alliances are meant to be shattered, others built on deception." Driven by impulse, Sarah stepped forward. "You don't scare me," she declared, masking her growing fear with fierce determination. But regret slithered into her heart as the figure's grin broadened. "You should be scared, dear girl. I've already seen your weakness. And trust me, you'll either bow to the inevitable or be crushed under its weight." At that moment, Clark shifted beside her, his eyes darting around the throng, trying to gauge their fear. "Let us not provoke him, Sarah," he whispered. "We don't know how far this goes." "Then what do we do?" she shot back, biting back the irritation creeping into her words. "Let him tear apart everything we've built?" "That's not what I meant," he began, but Elena interjected. "Everyone, listen." Elena's voice broke through, rallying the crowd again. "We're not going to let this ruin what we're trying to achieve. We stand together, unified." "That's it, exactly." Sarah seized the moment, heart pounding at the sight of her supporters, faces lit with empathy and understanding. "Crestwood is stronger than one person's agenda. You can't break us. This community has fought too long to be dismissed." The tension in the air shifted. Sarah felt the weight of her words transform into something powerful, igniting a spark among those gathered. "See?" The figure sneered, stepping back, mockingly gesturing toward the crowd. "They stand behind you for now. But they'll abandon you at the first hint of danger." "Not true," she countered firmly, her heart swelling with conviction. "We're fighting not just for ourselves but for each other. Crestwood is a place rooted in love and resilience. This is our time to shine." As if on cue, a chorus of voices erupted, echoing her sentiments, crying out their solidarity. "Together. For Crestwood." The figure's smile faltered, surprise flitting across their face. "This isn't over," they warned, slowly backing away into the shadows, the threat lingering like a dark cloud. With the crowd still buzzing with energy, Sarah felt a surge of resolve wash over her. But in the corner of her mind, a whisper nagged at her, this was only one battle. Turning to Clark and Elena, she spoke with newfound fire. "We need a community meeting. This can't just go unchecked. We show them we're not afraid." "I'll help you organize it," Elena offered, her eyes burning with passion. "This is our moment to rise." Clark nodded, apprehension fading into admiration. "And I'll reach out to our contacts, make sure we have the support we need." As they formed a plan amidst the echoes of triumph, a swell of hope swept through Sarah. They could transform fear into empowerment and create a sanctuary for Crestwood. Later that evening, as Sarah stood at the empty diner, the familiar smells brewed around her, filling her heart with nostalgia. She glanced around, each corner whispering stories of resilience. In that moment, she felt the threads of her community tightening around her like an embrace. She switched off the lights and stepped outside. A warm breeze rustled through the trees, and the stars began to peek through the dusky sky, a reminder that even in darkness, hope glimmers. "Hey, Tyler." Sarah called to him as he approached, a radiant smile brightening his face. "Hey. I heard what happened earlier. Are you okay? You really stood your ground out there." He beamed. "I'm okay. But we all need to come together now more than ever. The community meeting will be pivotal. I can't do this without you." Tyler's eyes softened, shining with admiration. "You have my support 100%. You are the leader they need." Her heart swelled at his words, realizing the bonds they forged were far more powerful than any challenge that lay ahead. In the following days, as the meeting approached, Sarah poured everything into preparations, rallying her neighbors, friends, and allies in Crestwood. They united in purpose, determined to reclaim their narrative and protect everything they held dear. On the night of the meeting, the community center buzzed with energy. Joe from down the street volunteered to arrange snacks, and Molly organized childcare for parents. Each person's contributions shifted the dynamic. They weren't just spectators but active participants in shaping their future. As Sarah stepped to the front of the room, the crowd quieted. Their faces turned toward her, hope shimmering in their eyes. She felt a wave of emotion crash over her, a mix of gratitude and fear, but she embraced it. "I know we have faced darkness," she spoke, voice unwavering, "but tonight, we stand here united. We refuse to let fear dictate our story. Crestwood is about love, support, and resilience. Together, we will protect it." Thunderous applause erupted, echoing off the walls. Cheers rose, voices blending in a beautiful melody of hope. "Let us do this." Sarah heard someone shout from the back, and an overwhelming wave of encouragement surged through her. "This is just the beginning, friends," she championed. "We will invest in our community, support one another, and fight for the heart that beats in Crestwood. This is our time." The room exploded in cheers, energy sparking with renewed determination. The figure from before faded from her mind as she focused on the faces before her, familiar, steadfast, and brave. The glimmer of unity glowed intensely, enveloping them all in an embrace of buoyant promise. In that moment, she realized that this wasn't just her fight. It was a collective journey towards a brighter future, where hope triumphed over fear. And no matter what challenges awaited, Sarah truly believed that together, they could accomplish anything. As their voices swelled in unison, filling the room with powerful energy, she let the warmth of their collective strength wash over her. This was the moment they would remember, the turning point in Crestwood's story, an undeniable mark of love overcoming fear. Now, as the days rolled on, they would stand strong, building the future they all dreamed of. The Heart of Crestwood initiative would flourish, a proud testament to their resilience, a symbol of hope that would illuminate even the darkest days. And as Sarah looked towards tomorrow, she understood one thing above all else: the journey ahead would shape her, but it would be the power of togetherness that would anchor them all. Yes, they would rise together. Now, not only as a community but as a family. And each one of them would be the heartbeat of change. Now, let us shout it together, for the heart of Crestwood. And echo it far and wide. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that bell and mark all notifications because this is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm, so we keep the heart of stories alive. Comment with your reactions and emotions about this ending. I want to hear your thoughts. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel. Through these actions,